Hey there, Wayne DeFrancesco again. Thanks for tuning in to YouTube. And I want to take a look at Adam Scott today. And the question is, why isn't this guy the best player in the world? He looks like he's got a perfect build. He's got a nice looking swing. People say he can't putt very well, but I got to think, his stroke looks fine. It looks like the guy should be much better than he is. So let's take a closer look at his swing, and maybe we can come up with something. I got two swings here. The one on the right that you're looking at was from last week. Played nicely, hit the ball very well. And this one on the left over here is from the PGA Championship in 2002 at Hazeltine. The range looks like it's underwater because it was. There's a rain delay. So I finished my round on Saturday morning. Then I got to hang around on the range and film some of the guys. So I got some nice behind shots with my camera on a tripod, which is not easy to do at a tour event. So anyway, it's easy to do when you're playing in the tournament, though. So here's Scott. And what you see here is classic Butch Harmon golf swing mechanics. The idea that Butch loves is the club is in front of the body. So here you see the takeaway way out in front of the shaft plane. It's perfectly on the hands, but you can see way out away. Now the right arm is going to stay in front of the body quite a bit. The left arm is not going to get across the chest very much. Now here's what I see as a problem. I never really understood why that would be desirable. Watch the head, and this is, you'll see it in other players like Mickelson. When the hands go out, the tendency is for the head to go back. So here you'll see a slight sit-down move in the right leg, because again, another hallmark of Harmon is he harps on the right knee flex in the swing. So here's a little backup, but not that much. He recovers it a little bit. It's only a little bit. Now watch the one from the other day, and when you look at the posture, if there's a change here, and the setup position is with the shaft is very similar, but as you watch it go back, and it's a little far away, but the camera was nice and still. So here what you're going to see is you're going to see a much more pronounced sit-down move, because the posture is definitely more out over the ball. You can see his back is leaning out, so he's increased his spine angle at address. But what he'll do is he'll sit right, you can watch his belt line right here, and you can see that sit back as he tries to flex into that right leg. But look at his head bob further back definitely than it was at address, and more so than he did in that swing, which was 7 or 8 years ago. Now the lines are going to draw out almost exactly the same shaft angle at address. Now the thing is way out in front of him. So what that means is that from the shaft plane, which was 58, he's raised it up 14 degrees when he's left arm parallel. Now this is also interesting. I never like to have my students have this pattern where the club goes out and then comes back. You'll see that the top plane line is inside of the backswing. So that's out and then over again. Now Tiger, when he was working with Harmon, had it at about 11 and 0, which means that he got the club not that far out, but here, and then when it went up, it ended up right there. And here the club is going back behind him, and now when it drops, the head is moving backwards again. The club falls down, not all the way to the shaft plane, and then when it comes around, it's above, but arcing around very nicely. It's not like Adam Scott can't hit the ball. I'm just trying to pick out, maybe, at least in my mind, what I would think would be alternatives to this. Again, I don't see why you would want the club to go that far away from the body in the backswing while bobbing your head back. And then even more so now, the head is backing up the hips stay great in the box. I mean, I always talk about the hips being in the box. There's another example of how good players tend to keep their hips back nicely. But that sinking down into the right leg and backing up as you hit it, when the hands come in high, the reason I don't like the high approach, and by high I mean the right forearm pointing above the ball and the hands above the shaft plane, is that from here the left wrist, and you can see it, it's going to have to bow down here to get the club to descend that little extra bit, and that just complicates the release action. I see it coming in from the shaft angle as more efficient than coming in from above it. Now this isn't way above it, but it's a little bit, and he's backing up at the same time. So if you look at another one of Harmon's players, if we go over here and take a look at, let's flip Phil around here. And again, this is a BizHub swing, so this is a still camera. Watch the head. There it goes, backs up, backs up, backs up, backs up. And now there's the high approach. There's the forearm above the ball. Now this left wrist of his, which is his right wrist obviously, is really going to have to bend the club down. And this action here, if you wonder why Phil can't hit 50% of the fairways, this is hard to do. I mean, nobody's going to hit it straight. And when he tries to hit the ball 350 yards and he gets it past parallel, he's not going to hit in the fairway doing that. I mean, he's going to have to swing about 3/4 what it feels like and just bunt the ball out there 300 yards to be more in the fairway. But anyway, it just seems like that if Scott would keep himself out over the ball more, you don't want to watch him lefty. If we could keep him out over the ball and not back up, that his release pattern would be a lot simpler. So that's my take on it. I mean, I love the swing, but those are some of the things that I really have never understood why they concentrate on taking the club out away from the body, and I would prefer to have it come into him a little more. Anyway, it's Adam Scott.